and that these owners and managers can see that, because I have exactly the same experience as you had with McKinsey, that most people want more from work than just pay. They want to feel that they contribute to a bigger good. And you will only recruit the best, and you will keep the best, and you will keep them motivated if they feel that they come to work to do something more, to contribute in a broader sense than just, enriching the owners or their managers and themselves in the process. So the self-interest part, if we can get more owners of business and managers of business to understand that if the ultimate purpose would be to contribute, they will also have a more profitable business and thus create the wealth for themselves that they would like to. I think that could be the way, or should probably be the way forward. And I think that is doable. And I think IKEA is a good case in point, how this has actually worked.
Yeah, I think to give one simple yes/no answer to your question, if we are moving in the right direction, is very difficult. Because we can see examples of both. But I will really emphasize that I think there is an increasing awareness among business people of their ethical responsibility and social cooperative responsibility. And fora like this also, of course, contribute to that. But I meet them also when I'm traveling internationally, business people who are really acknowledging their social responsibility. And therefore, I also fully support the idea behind this concept of business and peace, which we are gathering around here today, of two reasons. First, that I do believe that business in itself will link people and countries together in a way that will contribute to peace. If you are making business with each other, you normally don't shoot each other, to say it in a simple way. So I do believe that business, in a way, is contributing to peace, combined with other criteria. But secondly, also, I think it's so important, and I understand that is also one of the ideas behind business and peace, is to encourage business people to be conscious of the role they can play to promote stability, peace, and human rights. But all this, of course, also requires that business people live up to high ethical standards themselves in their business activities. But under these conditions, I really do believe that business and peace are closely linked to each other. And what is good for business can, under these conditions, be good for societies as a whole. And I think we all should also be aware of the possibilities now developing in Africa, because we very often think that Africa is lagging behind. Asia has strong economic development, especially China, but also other countries, Latin America to some extent, and so many think that Africa is hopeless. They are lagging behind. But that's not true. No. That is not true, Mark. Many African countries have now a strong economic growth. There is opening up markets in African countries now. Think about Botswana and Mozambique, and you have other examples. A strong economic growth. Markets are growing. And it's so important that we are there to assist them to develop and to develop in an ethical, responsible way.
Exactly.
And I encourage you business people to do that as well.
Indeed, and one of our Business for Peace awardees from Africa is here present. Now, Mr. Gupta, please.
I just wanted to, we've talked a lot about business enterprises working in, ethical ways and so on. I think one of the phenomena of the last several decades is the emergence of really around the world super wealthy people. I mean, in large numbers. And I say this because I still look at the individual responsibility. And, when you have a Bill Gates, how does he think about his wealth? And I picked that example because I've had a good fortune of working with him, not on business, primarily on philanthropy. And it's interesting because he's one of the most extraordinary human beings of our generation, because in some ways, he has turned it upside down and said, really the purpose of my life, I've been blessed with this, and I consider all human lives as equally valuable, that I want to turn the purpose into making a difference in that. And it stems from the fact that, in the end, if you are there only for your, how much material wealth you can accumulate or even how much power you can accumulate, it's a zero-sum game. Somebody's always going to be wealthier than you, somebody will always have power you may have one day and one may not have another day, and so on and so forth. But if you divert that energy and that resource to serving others, as they say, giving is always twice blessed. It's mostly for you that you're doing it. You'll, of course, do great benefit to the beneficiary, but you should thank them because they exist, because the ultimate satisfaction is actually to you. So I think I see that phenomena as it can permeate throughout, not only the mega rich, but down below, as to what is the purpose of this wealth creation, ultimately. Beyond personal consumption, what is the purpose?
Yeah, exactly.
And if we can think of that in that context, because there are so much wealth being created, and so many people who are extraordinarily wealthy, once they create their wealth, they're a little bit at a loss of what is the purpose of this? What should I do with this?
Of course, the 7 richest individuals are now much richer than the 2 billion poorest worldwide. The richest countries, Norway among them, is now 100 times richer than the poorest countries in gross national income. So yes, the disparity is bigger and bigger and bigger. And of course, when we were dirt poor, the distance between the richest and the poorest was 1 to 3. Now we're richest and it's 100 to 1. Is that consciousness that, you don't need all of these billions with you in the grave, share with society, is that spreading beyond the United States? Because it seems there are not so very many billionaires globally doing what Bill and Melinda Gates have done and Warren Buffett have done. This is the final one. Let's go 3. Are we seeing this changing? Ms. Dalvik,
well, I don't know. I have another reflection on that, and that is, should you make the money and then distribute it in charity, or should you, whilst you make the money, distribute it and somehow contribute to a better society for your suppliers, your co-workers, the people living around you, your customers? So I guess there are different ways about this, and I understand the Tata Group, for instance, are giving away X% of their profit every year, or we contribute with like IKEA, with a range of products at prices so low that the majority can use them. I mean, there are various ways of I think, contributing to society, not only giving it away after you've made the money, so to speak, at the end game of your life. But I can't answer your prime question.
Or give it through progressive taxation, which is the Swedish model. Mr. Bonnevik.
Yeah. I really mean that there is a great responsibility both for wealthy people and for wealthy countries to contribute, to lift the poor out of poverty. The main problem is, as I said, not that you have wealthy people and wealthy countries, but the main problem is that we have so many poor. And that is a great responsibility to all of us. I have also met some of these wealthy people who are really making a difference with sharing their wealth with the poor. I'm always at the annual Bill Clinton Global Initiative Conference, and the whole idea behind that conference is to get commitments from wealthy people in US and elsewhere to contribute to a concrete project in developing countries. And they do. And Bill and Melinda Gates are the big stars in that regard. This is also a responsibility for countries like Norway, which has been poor only 100 years ago, and which now is maybe the most wealthy in the world. But I'm not only thinking of humanitarian development assistance, where we are on the top of the list, but I'm also, and even more, thinking of what can we do to assist the countries to help themselves to come out of the poverty. Because that is, of course, the main means of how to do it. And maybe we should think more about that, also in a country like Norway. And how can business people in Norway share their experience on how to run a successful business company and to help business people in developing countries to do the same. That could, I think, really help.
Mr. Gupta.
I want to just build on that point because I think it's very important. If you look at people who have come out of poverty in the last 50, 60 years, post-war era, it is not because some foreign governments gave them assistance. It's not because some wealthy people did a lot of projects. It is actually the fundamental role of private enterprise, which is business to create jobs, to build enterprises, to make society more productive, to create wealth, and so on. That's the example of it. That's the example of Japan. That's the example of Korea. That's the example of Singapore and Southeast Asia, many, many countries that you can go on, where massive number of people have come out of poverty. It's got to do with the development of enterprise and the role of business. And its fundamental job is that, to bring that economic development, and that's what's going on in China. Having said that, I do think there is an enormous role, catalytic role, that, and I emphasize the word catalytic because people have to do it themselves, in foreign assistance, in individuals, being a role model, to start the process. Because ultimately, it is, private enterprise creation, entrepreneurship, innovation, productivity improvement that will create the wealth that will create people out of poverty.
Good evening, honorable honorees, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. The Norwegian Soloist Choir gave us a very musical welcome. I'll join in the chorus, so be warmly welcome to this actual prize ceremony that we're going to have now for the Oslo the Oslo Business for Peace Award 2010. My name is Einar Lunde. 3 weeks ago tonight, actually, I retired after 40 years of anchoring the main news on national television of Norway.